Are you ready for part 2 with Chad Frost? Are you like me and always anticipating the moment Bubba drops a new episode? Then be sure to click that little notification bell, you dummy. On this episode, Bubba and Chad get into all the fun segments, but let me warn you, you may need to put your boots on when they start talking old high school football stories. I kid. At least one of these guys actually has an accomplishment to remember.
Ooh, ouch.
After all these years, Chad still relishes in spoiling Denver's 1995 state championship season by giving them their one and only loss. And boy, the future sure looks bright for Wapsie Valley in that age-old rivalry. Good luck, Cyclones.
Good luck!
And now, here he is, Bubba Seaman!
All right, welcome back. We are back again with Chad Frost. This is going to be part 2. If you missed his story and his history and all that good stuff, go back and check out part 1. Stop what you're doing right now. Go back and listen to part 1. Some good life in there, struggles and just dealing with things, and it was very good. So I definitely recommend going back, listening to that, because then you'll appreciate this stuff a little bit more as we have some fun going through the segments and hopefully have some laughs and wrap it up with the What Is Up segment, where we get into some possibly small town controversy that apparently some of you guys have been looking forward to. Chad getting out his big spoon to stir the pot, I guess. I don't know. But there's a right way and a wrong way to handle it, and I guarantee you we'll do it the right way. So, because remember, this is the What Is Up podcast. You can have a difference of opinion. You can have different political views. You can do whatever. It doesn't mean we have to yell, rant, rave, protest, curse, none of that. You can just agree to disagree and still have a relationship with other people. It is possible. If what you're watching and what you're listening to tells you that's not possible, change the stinking channel. Get away from them. They're just trying to encourage more division and hate and all that stuff. Maybe listen to some other news or something else. Maybe just listen to what's in the Bible. Open the Bible, read that. That's always my go-to. Okay, Chad, let's start with my first segment's always the Dumb Dad segment now, but that's just for me. So if I had misspoke anytime recently, which the last episode we did was the holiday episode, and I don't think I messed up anywhere in there. No one told me that. So I got nothing for the Dumb Dad segment, thank goodness. So we're going to start with the Pastor Tommy segment. This is a pastor we used to have there at First Baptist in Dunkerton. He used to love movies back when Netflix was still the thing where you sign up for like 5 movies or whatever, and they mail them to you, then you get the next in your queue when you mail them back. And so he's a big movie guy, and he always said he hopes when he gets to heaven that there's a movie theater room where you can see anything in history or in the Bible, you can see it in that movie theater room. So do you got anything like that, if that's a real thing?
No, but that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, most guys have said like they want to see Noah's Ark. They want to see how it was done and all that stuff. And then,
or just even some of the great civilizations of the past or great minds of the past, and just being able to just kind of watch them and see how they interact, and just like the founders of our country, even
see what that looked like.
Just being in that room when they're whether it's writing the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. To me, that would be really
to be
cool.
A fly on the wall, and because they didn't know it was gonna, you know what I mean? They were separating. They were kind of going out on their own. That'd be a real good one for sure.
But I don't have anything specifically for that, but I like the idea. I mean, I hope that too. There, Pastor Tom. I hope they have that too.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, let's move into the Doug Heffernan segment. Now, I hope you like this one. This one, Sarah gives me a hard time. As we get older, the stories we tell, it makes it seem like, by the time I hit 50, I'm probably going to have been, like recruited by the University of Iowa.
Course,
just the stories get bigger and bigger.
Yes.
So Doug Heffernan, from King of Queens, what's your best moment from the high school glory days, whether that was football or anything else?
I don't know if I can narrow it down to one moment, but I will say this, though, that my senior year in high school in football, see here, there's three or four players that we played against that went D1
Okay.
I believe 2 of those went to NFL.
You talking Parkersburg kids?
Yeah, one was
DeVries?
Not Jared. What's that?
Campman.
Aaron Campman.
Campman. Holy cow!
So he was a junior my senior year. He played middle linebacker, and I played right guard on offense. And I remember us playing him, and I remember blocking him, moving him around, going, I don't know what's so special about this kid.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think there was anything special about him. And
he was the best one out of the group. Out of all those guys,
there was something obviously really special about him. But I think he was just in the wrong position in high school. That's all. But,
okay.
And then Derek Pagel.
Yep.
Out of Nashua.
Nashua.
He was a sophomore my senior year. I felt bad for him because he was the only good player on their team. I mean, we beat him like 69-6 or something like that. I mean, I played one play in the second half, and I sat on the bench. The rest of the starters did. So, and then there was Matt Stockdale out of Iowa Falls.
Okay.
He went to Iowa. He was a DB at Iowa for, I think he started 3 years. Really good back. Really good defensive back. I remember him being a running back in high school. I was not a fast guy at all, but that's probably one of my better games.
Okay.
He had 2 touchdowns. They were the number 1 team in the state. No one had scored on him at all. They didn't even scored a point on him. And we racked up 14 points in, I don't know, halfway through the second quarter on him.
Nice.
And unfortunately, we ended up losing to him. It was 14-7 at halftime. We ended up losing 21-14. But Matt Stockdale was a heck of a player, super fast. He had like no yards except for 2 long plays. I played outside linebacker, and he was on the opposite side. But they ran a lot of stuff toward me. And I don't know. I think I had to just – when I watch football, I see things happen.
Yeah.
Always, I still do watching as a fan and stuff. I can see where the play is going. I was able to do that in high school, so I was always able to put myself in a position to make the play, not because of my speed. Everyone knows it wasn't because of my speed.
Instinctual.
And but yeah, it was getting to play against him. There's another guy on their team. Can't remember his name right now, but I know he went to Iowa too. So yeah, there were some really good football players my senior year that we had to play against, and that went on to have some great careers at not just the next level, but the top level.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
So it's kind of fun to always be able to tell people that, hey, yeah, I got my butt kicked by Aaron Campman, even though I'm like, I didn't really get my butt kicked by him.
If you handled him.
We lost as a team against them, but it was fun to be able to say though too that getting to play against one of those AP teams of Ed Thomas and stuff, and what they had there, because I mean the man's a legend. So
absolutely, yeah. I've done a few talks and stuff with younger kids about sports and stuff, and I always use Ed Thomas and his book and just his philosophy as, because he's kind of when you read his book and things, he was kind of what we were getting at in the first episode. He was more about your character. You know what I mean? Don't talk a big game. Show me. And he was big about, like, if all I taught you to do was block and tackle, then I failed you as a coach. He was trying to create and build up young men to serve as dads and husbands, as members in their community, members in their church, just character-driven men. And, yeah, it doesn't get any better than Ed Thomas. If you haven't read his book, look it up. Sacred Acre, top-notch stuff. If you got young boys, like the Frosts, get them a copy of that book. Have them read it. It's life-changing stuff. It's very, very good. So, but we're gonna take just one break, because when you start talking about Campman, I remember seeing him in high school or whatever, and his practice jersey, there was like no jersey right around the shoulders of the pads. Like he was just so much contact that he had no jersey left at the top of his shoulders. And I remember my sophomore year, we got bumped up to 1A, so we started playing you guys. And I don't need to even mention where I went to high school. We didn't win much. But you guys had kind of a similar thing. You had this big lineman and this fast running back, this Ben Benzo, and one of the Moultrie boys. And you guys did one of the newspapers did like a little spread. I think it was a Courier. And Ben Benzo was standing up tall with his arms crossed. And the Moultrie kid was kind of like peeking around the side of him with the football, and they were like, this is going to be the tandem that's going to take Wapsie to the championship. And I can't remember if it was 96 or 97.
That would have been 96, fall of 96.
Okay.
That was the first year that Wapsie dropped down to 1A.
Okay.
Because there were 2A my senior years.
Yeah, so we meet up that way. And Dunkerton had no business playing 1A. No business playing. They're 8-man now. So if that tells you anything. And my buddy next to me, Josh Reed, if you're listening, yeah, this is for you. He was good. He was really good. But like most small-town kids, if you don't have your priorities right, you start dabbling in some other stuff on the side, and you can literally, pardon my French, you can piss away just tremendous opportunity.
Right.
And Josh, I'm not saying you did that. We all did bad stuff. And Josh's kid now plays for Warburg. It's awesome. But Josh cut out that thing and that newspaper clipping, and he put it in his locker that whole week. And Josh was a big kid, really good lineman. And so I played right next to him, and you guys had a nose guard or whatever, always some wrestler nose guard, Sullivan or Sickles or something.
Sullivan.
And they just ate me up.
Yep.
I mean, a freshman has no business starting varsity anyway, and I think I was a sophomore maybe that year, just eating me alive. And my buddy Josh Reed put Ben Benzo on his butt a handful of times, just ate him alive. And we were going through the line together, and Ben shook his hand, looked him in the eye, and was like, he knew. He's like, dude, if you want it, you can go. You and I, who's ever coming after me, they would want you if you want it. And it was just it's a good memory that if you put in the work, you surprise yourself.
Yeah.
It don't, like you said, you 190 some pounds, but you had an attitude, a work ethic, and you'd get after it. It didn't matter.
Yeah. One thing just to add on that too, I should add for probably the glorious moment ever. 1995, Denver won Class 1A state championship with a record, I think, of I don't know what it was, 8-1.
Okay. That was with the Divine days, right? Didn't they have a big stud Divine?
We were that one. We were that one loss.
Yes.
We beat them. I never lost to Denver. I don't know what it's like because we made sure we didn't lose to Denver.
Nice.
No matter what. And it's funny, talking to those big guys. What was his name? Ben. I can't remember his last name now, but he went to Iowa State. Played. He was an offensive lineman. He went to Iowa State and played. And I remember one play, I was coming from the backside, and he came out to block me, and I swiveled my head, and I just saw him at the last minute. He could have dropped me and completely dislocated my spine from my body.
Yeah.
Because he was 285, 6'4", 285, and not a big boy.
Yeah.
Instead, he grabbed me and just picked me up by one arm off the ground and then sat me back down. And I go, good play, Ben. Good play.
Oh.
Give him a tap on the shoulder and let's move on to the next one and stay away from me.
Yeah.
You're going to eat me or something. So every time they celebrate Denver state championship team, because that's the only team that's ever won a state championship football for Denver.
You look at that one.
I love it when they bring that team out on the field. And they're like, oh, it's been 25 years. And I'm like, how about that one loss, boys?
One.
How about that one loss?
Oh, I like it. I like it. I know in Denver, obviously I've been baptized into the Wapsie-Denver rivalry. But, yeah, it's just not looking good right now for football for them at all.
Yeah,
Man, it's tough. They got a couple good kids. They got a lineman right now that last year when they were wrestling, this kid shot in on JJ. I guess he was like what do they call the youth wrestling stuff? AAU, some champion from out west. I don't know if it was Colorado or something. This kid, he's really good, and I watched him this year. Donovan something. So if you're watching Denver wrestling, you'll see him. Watch for him. They call him Donnie. He shot in on JJ, and then they just knew, this kid's gonna wipe the floor with JJ. And so me and Ben were just telling JJ, make him work for it. So what? You're nowhere near his level. Make him work for it. And the kid shot on JJ, and he stuffed it. And JJ froze, I don't know what to do. It's well, spin back. I don't know what to tell you to do. And this kid stayed underneath JJ and stood up, picked him up, and dumped him. And I'm like, if you can pick up JJ, you obviously got some lower body strength. And he just dumped him. But yeah, it doesn't look good for them in the future against us at all. We've just been pounding them the last few years. So it'll be just like your time, just like your days.
I hope so.
Okay. No offense, Dan Cooper. Thanks for coming on the podcast, buddy. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to a little more serious one. Stop complaining and do something segment. This is one that I really like. This is if every teenager in America is in your youth group. If you're leading a youth group, instead of us complaining about the younger generation and, no work ethic, no responsibility, whatever, what's your message to them? You got a chance to build into them. What do you tell them?
I'm going to take this from Justin Decker because he came out with this little saying, and I don't know if he got it from someone else, I don't know. But it was shortly after Carson McGrane's accident. And it was, don't talk about it, be about it. And that sense of be about whatever you're involved in. Don't just talk about it. Like if you're going to go out and wrestle, or if you want to be a straight A student in school or whatever it is, don't sit there and just talk about it. In fact, don't talk about it. Just embrace it, saying, hey, I'm going to be the best student that's ever come out of this school. And what's that mean? Well, you really have to embrace it and believe it for sure that, hey, I can do it, but I have to put the work in.
Yep.
And the reason I think that saying came out at that time frame is because Carson McGrane, as a young man, very young man, that's what he was.
Yeah.
That's exactly who he was. Yeah. Is that he was always about everything or everyone, and didn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
He didn't talk crap. He didn't talk about this or that. He just went out there and said, watch this, watch me do this. And then it might have been bad, but he's like, I'm doing what I need to do to be.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's probably one of the things, with today's generation is they need to stop talking.
Okay.
They talk a lot, even my boys. And it's like, show me.
Yeah.
Show me. Like my boys always say, hey, Dad, you talked about working out when you were in high school and stuff. Why aren't you? I go, my dad never took me to a gym. If you want to go work out, you know where it's at.
Yeah.
If you want me to come along, you grab me and go along. I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to wake you up at 5:30 in the morning to go.
You don't want it. You don't want it then.
If you want it, go do it.
Yep.
I'm up at 5:30 every morning, so I don't care. If you want to go, we'll go.
Yeah.
But if you want it, go do it.
You'll do it. Yeah. If you want it, you'll do it. What's that thing in the wrestling room? It says most people, what is that? Something about most people want to win. It's not about the will to win. It's the will to prepare to win or something like that. And I'm just like, everyone wants the accolades.
Oh, sure.
But few people want to do what it actually takes.
But it's all that work to get there. I mean, you look at some of the highest level, and we'll just stay in the sport of wrestling, the highest wrestlers, they compete maybe a handful of times a year. Mm-hmm. The rest of the time, they're training. Not practicing, training. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are pushing themselves mentally and physically to the ends that no one's ever been to before, or they've never been to before. Yeah. And that's what it has to be. Yeah. Because they want to do this 6 months from now. And so the youth that's what, hey, show me.
Yeah.
I want to see you. I had people, when I quit working for my uncle's hog farm, I had probably 5 or 6 other farmers that were calling the house going, hey, I hear you're not working for your uncle anymore. I've been trying to get you forever.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where it's because they saw the action.
Yep. Yeah.
It wasn't like I was going around telling everybody. They just knew that, hey, every time I drive by the Frost house, Chad's car's gone. And I asked his parents where he's at. It's like, he's at work.
Solid work.
Doing this.
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's the thing is that, and I try to tell my boys that too, and I'm trying to get them to learn that is if that's what you want, go get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's going to give it to you.
Nope. No.
At all. And the ones that do have it give it to them, they don't handle it properly and they wreck it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And you look at top level coaches like we were talking, Ed Thomas, Tony Dungy, different guys that I follow that, obviously they're Christian coaches, but they all say the same thing. They will take a hardworking, less talented player over a gifted athlete any day of the week because they've seen it too many times. They understand. Give me this guy, over this high profile guy, and I'll do more with him.
Yep.
Yeah, just because. Nothing against people who are naturally gifted. We got some of those in the community.
But, usually the most naturally gifted don't work as hard.
Right. Yep.
And one of the things that was always told at sales meetings when I did insurance and investments, there was like, it takes talent and hard work. If you don't have a lot of talent, it takes a lot more hard work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you have a lot of talent, it doesn't take as much hard work. But what if you had both?
Mm-hmm.
That's what sets you apart.
Both, yeah.
And That's what I always tell. Like I tell, that's one of the things I like about wrestling is, like the boys when they got wrestled off. Like Jonah, he's not wrestling varsity this year because he lost his wrestle off. Okay. He's going to wrestle off again, I think, this week or something like that. And I told him, I said, the biggest thing is you've beat the kid. You've beat him before. Yeah. You beat him like 5 times last year. And but you have to decide, do you even want to be on varsity?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a varsity wrestler? You got to decide that. And 2, if you do and you lose, what are you going to do to get better?
Yep.
That's the best thing I like about the sport is it's you. You're out there. No one else. Everyone's encouraging you. Absolutely. They want you to do your best, but it's you.
It's on you. Yeah.
And if you want it, go get it. And that's one thing I there's some of the kids, obviously with wrestling season going on right now, that's where my mind is unlike other sports, like for example, football, you may not be the most talented, but you still get to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Or same thing with like basketball or baseball or, these other team sports. In wrestling, it's the best.
It's you. Yeah.
And if you want to be varsity and you're not, you got to get better.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. You have to get better. Nothing against you. You just have to get better.
Right. Yeah.
And what are you going to do to get better? The best thing you can do is just work hard.
Put the work in.
Yep.
That's it. Man, we should be charging for this sort of thing.
I hear you.
If you want to make a donation, Chad will give you his bank account number, or you can just mail me a check. I'll split it
Venmo,
with him. Venmo, yes. All right. Speaking of phones, let's do that. This is the what's on your phone segment. So I want to know the last song or podcast you listened to, or the last YouTube. What's the last thing you consumed on your phone?
I believe the last podcast, which I do listen to quite a few podcasts. I think it was Joe Rogan I listened to yesterday. The guest on there was Brigham, let me look here. Brigham Buhler.
Okay.
Buhler. I would encourage everyone to listen to that episode of Joe Rogan with Brigham because it's about today's medical and healthcare.
Okay.
This guy is trying to develop a cash-only type of system, getting away from the insurance world.
Okay.
Very interesting. I think everyone needs to look at it and listen to it. You're going to learn a lot about why our healthcare costs what it does because of these middlemen and regulations. And yes, sure, big pharma is one thing, but it's really the insurance companies that are really driving it and stuff. And just like he hits on one of the topics, and I guess it really came to, I was like, boy, I did notice that. I just didn't realize I noticed that. How many private physicians do you know today that have their own practice? There aren't any. All the physicians work for hospitals.
Yep.
Or hospital groups, so, like Unity Point or Mercy One and stuff like that. So, how'd that happen? And same thing with pharmacies. How many small town pharmacies do you see anymore? Denver Drug in Denver is about the only one I can ever think of, and I travel around all over the place.
Yeah.
And all the other ones are affiliated with
Hy-Vee or whatever.
Hy-Vee, CVS, Walmart, or Walgreens and stuff. So, really good interest.
Okay.
That's a good podcast episode of Joe Rogan to listen to.
Well, yeah, he's I think he's the number one, isn't he?
Yeah,
it bounces back and forth between him and Adam Carolla. I think they're always up at the top.
I like Joe Rogan. I don't listen to all of his episodes because he has some stupid guests.
He gets out there, but he had this one. I even used it on the podcast. He had this one where he said, "In all the years of human existence, I can't believe we've got instruction manuals for everything for a car engine where it will tell you step by step what to do, how to do this with the electrical, this with a spark plug, and this, and you put this together, and then the engine will just run like a top." He goes, "We have nothing like that for life, for human beings, for mankind." And I'm just like, Joe, you're asking for the Bible, dude.
Right.
It's in there. How to treat people, what to do, what to stay away from, how to think. I was like, oh man. So I actually used him on the podcast before, but okay. So check him out, Joe Rogan. All right, movie/book review. Do you read anything? Have you saw a good movie lately? Anything like that? This is your chance.
I don't really read any books. With my job, though, obviously, I listen to podcasts, listen to music. I have been doing some Audible books. Listening to some things. What's the last one I listened to? Where's it at here? It's been a while since I listened to one. I think it was Introduction to. It was The 4 Hour Body. 4 Hour Body by Tim Ferriss. He wrote that book, I don't know, 10 years ago probably.
Like a workout fitness thing?
No, it gets involved in some of that, but there's a variety of different topics within that he talks about. Trying to see if I can find the chapters.
The 4 Hour
4 Hour Body. Yeah, he different things, yes, about health and wellness a little bit, how to eat. Like one of the things he says is when you get up in the morning, what you need to do is consume 30 grams of protein in the first 30 minutes, followed by a 30-minute workout.
Ooh.
And which is tough for everyone to do, but he talks about other different things, different things that may help you relationship-wise. He gets into some, which I skipped through that because I was like, I'm not interested into the sexual end of the stuff that he was getting into. I'm like, hey,
I'm good there, man.
I'm not 24, so I don't really care, right? I am what I am. I'm where I'm at. I'm my game is what my game is.
Yeah, I got 3 kids. Obviously, I know what I'm doing.
What I got is what I got. Yep. So
yeah, okay.
But yeah, it is an interesting book. My brother, I know, read it. I think he has the book. He read it and stuff, and told me it was really good. And I don't know. One day I was just looking for something to listen to, and I was like, well, hey, let's see what he's got to say.
There you go. There you go. If you guys are looking for a good movie, I think me and Timothy started a new tradition. I always take the week off between Christmas and New Year. I just got to have it. Factory worker. I'm just used to it. I got to have it. So me and him went to Waterloo 2 different times and watched movies. So I'm like, dude, we should just do this every Christmas break. Yeah. You, me, whoever. Right. And he wanted to see Iron Claw, which was about the Von Erich wrestling family.
Yep.
If you guys didn't see that, I bet you and the boys would like that, dude. Messed up. But for the most part, true story from what I understand. I don't remember the Von Erichs. I watched a lot of big-time wrestling when I was a kid. Not that I wanted to. My older brother made me. But I don't remember
I don't either.
The Von Erichs at all. But all the other names they mentioned, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, all that, I'm like, yeah, I knew them guys.
Yep.
It's because the Von Erichs were doing their own thing in Texas.
Okay.
Like, I think eventually turned into WCW. But back then it was like world-class championship wrestling, and it was only in Texas. And then eventually they merged or whatever, sold. But yeah, that's a good movie if you want to check that out. Okay, Gen Z slang. This is a fun one. Usually I write down some, and I didn't. I don't know how that happened. My producer must not have plugged any of these in there for me. So what I do is I give you a few Gen Z slang words and see if you can tell me what they mean. So I'm just going to pull a few off the top of my head. GYAT. G-Y-A-T-T. GYAT. Do you know what that is? Kids use that word today.
Yeah, I know they do. I've heard it.
Oh, you've heard it. Okay, good.
My boys are always saying,
I know it. And
whatever.
We just shrug our heads like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what it means?
I don't.
That's a woman's rear end. Like if she's got she's got a nice butt, she's got the GAT, I guess. Okay, how about Riz? If someone says,
oh, isn't it like ridiculous or something? Is that what short for?
Not ridiculous. You're kind of close. Riz, R-I-Z-Z. So you're kind of on the right track. It's obviously short for another word. Charisma. So like if you got it going, if you can walk into a room and command that room or attention, you got charisma. It's the Riz. Now you got the Riz. Or if you're really above everyone else in the room, they'll just call you the Rizzler, I guess. Dude, I don't remember saying this kind of crap when we were young.
No.
And we grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, let's move away from that one because I didn't have any others written down.
Oh, I know. There's some of the stuff that, or a lot of times I ask the boy, I'm like, hey, how was this? How was that? Oh, mid.
Mid, yeah, there you go.
Mid, or lit, or lit, I can get that one, but some of the other stuff, I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
what
I know.
I
know it. Yeah, what did I hear? Yeah, so mid is one, and then if you say, when you go home today, try this on them. If they say, whoever, Amy or the boys, if they say, hey, how did it go? You just say, I don't want to toot my own horn, but typical Chad W. And that's supposed to mean like, W, like a win. Like, of course, I knocked it out of the park, okay?
Right.
And it works both ways. Ah, man, if you're watching something on the news and you see, the president on, you say, typical L. Man,
right.
Always, or whatever. So, but we'll get into some of that stuff later. All right, so this is going to be the getting to know you segment. This is rapid fire questions. I'll kind of shut up, and we'll just run through these. If you got something for them, great. If you don't, we'll just move on to the next one.
All right.
If you could meet anyone in the world right now, who would it be?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Anyone in history, so maybe they're not alive.
I think probably Thomas Jefferson.
There you go. All right. Man, I love Thomas Jefferson. I got this thing upstairs for him. But did you know Thomas Jefferson, out of all the founding fathers, most of them are Christians. Thomas Jefferson, he's into all of it.
Yep.
Except for the resurrection. And I'm just like, how can you go that far?
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that.
Like, that's kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
You got to believe in that. But other than that, yeah, Thomas Jefferson, top notch. All right, this one's kind of dated. It says, what would you do if you had $1 million? So imagine it's more like, in today's economy, 10 million, 20 million,
right.
Stupid money.
Right. I like to think that, you always have, when you see the Powerball or something, you're kind of like, if I won that,
yeah,
this is what I do. And nobody does that.
Nope.
But for some reason, I truly think I would.
Okay.
But I would donate a lot.
Okay.
I would give
a
lot. I try to give what I can now, but I think if I had, like, let's say, hey, here's $10 million. $1 million would absolutely change our world crazy.
Yeah.
But, if you go like 10 million, I think I would probably give at least half of that away because I don't want it to change who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to change the relationship I have with my family and my wife and kids and stuff because money will do that.
Yeah.
And with you have it or you don't have it, it changes. And so I think I would give it. I think I would give a lot of it. I'm going to take care of, I'm going to take care of myself, obviously, and my family and, my parents and stuff like that. But I want to say I would give it. I would give it to cancer research.
Sure.
That's dear to me. I'd give it to the youth programs.
Sure.
I'd try to take care of the local schools and local clubs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Local community. But
yeah. So obviously you've seen the same stuff I have, that the people who win the lottery and stuff, most of them end up worse off than they were before they won. Yeah. We're not meant to have, some people are wealthy. That is great.
Right.
But people who come into large amounts of money like that, dude, it just brings.
Yeah. I can't fathom.
It does. Like you said, it can change you. It can change things. All right. Top 3, and you don't got to go top 3. You can do top 1, whatever. Favorite, movies or books of all time. What do you really like? If you got a choice to put something in the DVD player or a book to read, what is it?
I would say probably for a movie is I know most of them and I repeat them a lot. But I'm a huge comedy guy. I love Tommy Boy.
Oh, Chris Farley.
That is one of my favorite movies of all time. Step Brothers, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
My sister, she hates me because I watch a movie and I can just, for some reason, I know the lines and I'll repeat it in conversations and making jokes and I'll say something. They're like, what movie's that from?
Yep.
But those two are like probably one of my favorites. And a book that I've read it a long time ago. But my mother-in-law gave it to me to read. It was called Bleachers. It's obviously about football and stuff, and kind of a perspective of a kid in the bleachers compared to the kid on the field.
Okay.
And that's just one of those books that, I don't know, it's probably 20 years ago I read it, but it's one of those titles that I just always remember.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Now, I put Christian movies in kind of a different class because they really were. When they first started coming out, they were kind of, apart from the 10 Commandments, they're kind of just cheesy because they had lower budgets and things, but they've really gotten quite well over the years. You got any of those that stand out to you? Like, I've been plugging this one for a long time, The Blind. That's Phil Robertson's story.
Yeah, I remember listening to one of your podcasts about that, and I haven't had an opportunity to watch it yet. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd recommend that one. If you got people that that are kind of on the fence, like skeptics about God, about any of that stuff, Case for Christ, Lee Strobel, award-winning journalist at the Chicago Tribune. His wife gets saved. She comes to faith, and he's having none of it. None of it. This is back in the 70s. And so he uses all his work resources, all his journalism, everything to try and disprove A, B, and C about God. And he starts with the resurrection. Then he goes to the crucifixion. Then he goes to the Bible. You can't believe the Bible. All this stuff. And at the end of this year-long journey, dude, he's like, I can't disprove it. There's just too much evidence for it. And he's been writing Christian books ever since. His name's Lee Strobel. So some good Christian ones. How about, we just came out of Christmas. You got a favorite Christmas movie? One that comes on?
Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been watching that since I was a kid, and I still watch it. But Christmas Story, Elf, Polar Express, those are kind of the three that I need to watch. That's Christmas to me.
See, I pegged you as a Christmas Vacation kind of
guy.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. I mean, some of them are just Hall of Fame.
Oh,
good.
Christmas Vacation, that's a given.
That's Clark, man. All right.
Yep.
All right, favorite song, and this can be, just favorite song, or it can be, your favorite workout or pump-up song if you really want to get the blood pumping.
I don't really have one particular, but pretty much anything from 1991 through 2002. Okay. That's rock, grunge, alternative rock, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's the last time like a great set of music that come out. There hasn't been one since. I mean, you had the 60s with the Beatles and stuff like that, and you had the 80s, with the big hair and stuff like that. And then you had the 90s, which you had some grunge and you had some rap, and that was just great. And there hasn't been of that since.
Okay, all right. So let's dive into the Wapsie locker room in your day, because we were the same way. We liked alternative, we liked grunge, but we also, all of us white kids in Dunkerton, for some reason, loved No Limit rap. I know.
We did too.
Okay, was it the same thing?
We did too. What was that? I don't remember who did it, but Slam.
Slam. Like, I don't remember.
I don't remember who sang it, but that song was always blaring.
Okay.
Always blaring. But,
see, there's something about us, like rural, small town communities, all white kids, except usually we always had like one black kid in school or something.
Sure.
But that was it. And we just loved our rap music.
Oh, yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
Well, Snoop Dogg came out in that era, and his album, I mean, that was awesome. And DMX. And
there you go. No. Oh, man.
I mean, it was a good time to be a teenager and having that music come out.
Yep. All right. How about, this is a simple yes or no. Christmas music. You in or you out?
I'm out.
Oh, Chad,
I'm out. I mean,
there's some I don't like. We covered that on the holiday episode. But for the most part, man, that just puts me in a good mood. I'll play it in the shop at work.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I don't.
See, look, guys, and look, I'm not kicking them out. We're at complete odds there. Okay. Dream job, worst job. Give me both of them.
Oh man, worst job is I never wish upon anyone. I'm sure someone's still doing it today. Was sandblasting rail cars at Transco.
Yeah,
that job sucked.
Yeah.
It's a fire hose full of sand that you drug around, with I don't know how much PSI behind it, but I don't know. My dream job, I would think like for me, if I had the financial backing, would just be a charity. Not for anything specific.
Okay.
But I always go back to that all the time. Whenever I think about stuff like that, like wealth or whatever, independence, financial independence.
Yeah, there you go.
I think of, that's what I think about. I think about giving.
So like being like the board, the executor of like in charge of a charity.
And being able to provide or give.
Choosing where,
Right.
Oh,
to
that's
different needs and stuff. I don't know why. That's just something I've, maybe someday I'll get there and be able to do something like that.
That's a first. No one said anything like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. First car, worst car. They could be the same. Sometimes they are.
No doubt. My sister got the shaft with her first car that Mom and Dad let her have, and that was like I think it was a 1976 Pinto wagon.
Oh, the Pinto.
Oh yeah, we had one of them. But mine was because Mom got a new car or Dad, I can't remember. But anyway, 1979 Bonneville.
Oh, that's a boat.
It's a boat. I tell you one thing, I can get 10, 11 people on that head different games. That thing was fantastic. But it was also it wasn't the worst car. But it was a great car and kind of crappy at the same time because you got like 6 miles a gallon.
Oh,
but back then gas was $1 a gallon anyway. But but then the car I got after that, because maybe that's when Mom got a new car. I don't remember. But I think it was an 86 or 87 Dodge Lancer. That thing, uglier than one of the ugliest vehicles out there. It had no power whatsoever. So you never pulled out in front of it. If you saw a vehicle, you were not pulling out. You're waiting to go. But in the winter, sucker handled like a dream. And was like, man, you can't just put this thing in the ditch for anything, can you? I'm like, well, it doesn't have enough power to go in the ditch.
Yeah,
but,
you can't get going fast enough.
You could go through anything, but that thing was I hated that car.
Okay.
I hated that car.
All right. Favorite restaurant or fast food? If you get to choose, and they could be two different, but if you
if we're going out and hitting a chain place or something like that, it's probably Texas Roadhouse.
Nice.
Really like going there stuff. It's that's a family favorite.
What do you get?
I usually get either chicken and ribs or steak and ribs.
Okay.
I eat about anything there. It's either going to be steak and chicken or steak and ribs, or any combination of those three.
I got you. Yeah, we would always do, whosever birthday it is, you get to pick where you go, and she was always into Red Lobster, and so I always did Texas Road, and it's the biggest ribeye they got.
Oh,
with the mushrooms on top, always. But recently, I've been getting turned on to ribs. A buddy at work, Cookie, he's got the hookup with those ribs from IBP. And just the big racks of them, and you get a good price on them. And he's like, dude, once you buy them from me, like, you can't go to the store and buy them.
Right.
You will pay twice as much, and you will get less meat on your rib. And so I'm starting to smoke these ribs now. And I'm like, wow, I've been missing out, dude.
So the boys, usually when we go out to eat, Jonah especially, that's what they always want to get. They want to go to ribs.
Ribs?
Like, you ever gone to Cheddar's there's one in Cedar Rapids, one in
Corridor.
Great food, and the price is right and stuff. And the ribs are pretty good. And the boys, though, it's to the point now, because I smoke ribs and cook ribs and stuff too, and the boys are like, they don't even order ribs anymore. They're like, if it's not Dad's, we're not eating them. We're not eating them. It's taken me a couple years to get them perfected, but I got them down pretty down pat now.
Yeah,
but.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm in on that. All right. If you're on death row, you get, the night before, you get a meal. Anything you want. What is it?
I know there's one thing that I would want that I know I can't get. Well, I might be able to get it. But my grandmother, my mom's mom, always made homemade lemon meringue pie.
Oh.
And this is how important this was, Bubba. When my wife and I first got married, I sent my wife out there to learn how to make this pie. She came home at the end of the day with 5 different pies. And they all gradually got better. I ate them all, but I love pie. And but my grandmother's lemon meringue pie, we have the recipe in her handwriting, which is great. It's fantastic. And,
nice.
But that's an important deal. So I would probably just get like 5 or 6 of those and a gallon of milk, and I think I'd be pretty happy.
That's it? Good. No meal? No?
No, it's...
But now, so did Amy get to the point where she can make it the same way as Grandma?
Yes.
Nice. Oh, that's always good. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like lemon squares with like the powdered sugar, but the lemon meringue, like something about that.
It's because you haven't had a good one.
I guess, yeah. If I had your grandma's.
I don't eat any other lemon meringue pie. Like if you go to like the Village Inn or something, I'm not getting a lemon meringue pie. No, I'm not doing it because I'm going to be 100% disappointed. Because everyone can make an apple or a cherry or chocolate silk, whatever, but lemon meringue, that's a different level.
All right, I got you. All right, favorite sports teams or athletes growing up or now? Who do you follow? Who do you like? Or who'd you like as a kid, maybe?
So, I'm an Iowa fan.
Okay.
Iowa football, I think I might jump back on. I've been off them for the last few years. I put a big rant on Facebook a few years ago, and I said, that's it. I'm not doing it. And I did. That was it. Okay. I didn't cheer for them. I might watch them, but I was like, I don't care if they win or lose. Yeah. I don't care. But I might jump back on the bandwagon. We'll see if they mess up this offensive coordinator hiring position or not. But if they get the person who I hope they get and who's in the running, I'll get back on the bandwagon with them.
Who's your pick?
Paul Kreis or Paul Kreis. Was it Kreis? It's Kreis, isn't it?
Okay, yeah.
He used to be the head coach at Wisconsin.
Okay. All right.
Yep. That's who I said that about 3-4 years ago. Right after he got fired, I should say last year. Right after he got fired from Wisconsin, I was like, Iowa needs him for an offensive coordinator.
Putting it together.
So I'm hoping. But yeah, no, on professional teams, I don't really have any like NFL. I hardly even watch NFL anymore. They ticked me off 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so,
we've had some guys on that said the same thing.
I'm still kind of in that bandwagon. Okay. I watch just enough so I have conversations with people.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
So.
What about like childhood idol? Did you look up to any of those guys? Did you have one you followed? Even though I'm on record, idols are bad. Don't have an idol.
Right.
They're just human beings.
Right. Absolutely. But I was always, for some reason, I was always a Lakers fan when I was a kid.
Really?
I have no idea how that came about. Still to this day, I have no idea. But so I always liked Magic Johnson.
Okay.
I was typical 80s kid, so Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan.
Yep.
You had all those guys, Larry Bird. Those were the guys that I thought were always pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson, of course.
There we go. Finally, somebody.
Bo Jackson, I mean, let's face it, he's probably one of the greatest athletes ever.
Ever.
And still to this day.
Only player to ever go to both the Pro Bowl and the MLB All-Star Game. He didn't just play both. He excelled at both.
Do you know he got drafted for the MLB when he was in high school?
Yeah.
He was in high school.
Yeah.
He's batting over 4,000.
Yeah, dude. He's on, and it's all pre-steroids. That's what I love.
Yep.
If he wasn't so strong, he probably wouldn't have popped his hip out like he did.
Right.
He would have went down like most other backs.
Right. Yep. He ran right out of his hip.
I'm so glad you mentioned. I've been waiting for somebody to bring him up. That's my guy. Yeah. That is it.
I'm a fan of Bo Jackson.
You probably didn't notice, but when you walked in, did you see, like, it's for you guys at home. We're in my basement. JJ's room is down here. He's got a TV on the wall. Did you notice the Nintendo sitting there?
Oh,
I've been off this whole week from work, so I pulled out the old Nintendo, got the Tecmo Bowl going.
Oh, heck yeah, Bo Jackson.
I'm like showing. I was like, JJ, all you got to do is get past these guys and then zigzag. You cannot. You can't. Right. You can't stop Bo.
Or just run all the way back to the end zone and throw the pass.
But what I like, too, is I had another one. Bo Jackson from when I was a kid. But when I was in high school, it was Mike Alstott. And every so often in my Twitter feed, these like sports pages will just show up or whatever, and it'll say kids today don't understand, and they'll show all these highlights of Alstott just running people over.
Just a battering ram.
And it's just
a battering ram.
The dude was fast, yet he was big and wore the neck roll, and so I was like, I got to have number 40.
He looked like a bull out there.
He was awesome, man. Football was great then. Golly.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on. I could spend all day there talking about Bo Jackson. Bo, you're the best. Come on the podcast.
Bo knows.
That's right. Okay, cartoons from your childhood. You got any of those that you remember?
Oh, I was always watching the Warner Brothers cartoon characters, and Yosemite Sam and all
Looney
that stuff.
Tunes, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we used to record
on
the
VHS?
VCR, yes, episodes and stuff. And, but also typical 80s kid. You're watching He-Man and some of those other cartoons like Fraggle Rock.
Yes. And, dude, have you watched Fraggle Rock recently? Have you tried to dig up an old thing? I showed my kids that the other day. I was making fun of somebody, and I said, they look like somebody from Fraggle Rock, because they probably had weird hair.
Right.
And they're like, what's Fraggle Rock? I was like, it was this little like puppet show back in the day, and I pulled up a clip, and I watched like a 20-minute episode. I'm like, ooh, this is kind of weird. But as a kid, it was great. It was
absolutely.
like, in these little caves and stuff. And my kids were looking at me like, you watched this? I'm like, yeah, I did. I don't know why, I guess, but
always watch He-Man when he got home from school.
Yep. He-Man. All right. Most embarrassing moment or the dumbest thing you ever did?
Oh, jeez, there's so many. One, I don't get embarrassed.
Okay.
It's just I just take it what it is. But man, dumbest moments.
I mean, it don't have to be the top. If you can just throw one out there, go ahead.
One out there is probably when I was in high school, myself, a couple girls, and another friend. We had that Bonneville. We were driving around Fairbank and stuff. And I think it was one of the first years Fairbank did a scarecrow competition for Halloween.
Okay.
And for some reason, we thought that it would be fun to go around and collect these scarecrows. And at first, it's kind of like, why are we doing this? But then when I saw my one friend, because a light turned on in a house, and he grabbed one of those scarecrows and was running down the street, and it was just like stiff-armed and legged and just kind of bouncing. It was funnier than heck, and we don't know why.
Because it was vandalism. That was fun.
Yeah, that adult person that caught us that night, she still brings that up to me once in a while when I see her. Any scarecrows tonight, Chad? I'm like, no,
I'm behaving.
And of course, the cop pulled us over and stuff too, and we had already put everything back, and cop pulled me over and stuff. Saw the straw in the back. He's like, well, I think it was you. And, I should say him, her. It was when Fairbank had a lady cop that was also She also moonlighted as a dancer down in Littleton.
My goodness.
Nah,
oh, wow.
Nah, anyone in Fairbank, you know who I'm talking about. Not an attractive person. But,
nope.
I just told her, oh, no, that's just from, which was true, from baling hay. That's from baling hay the other day. So I took her stuff off there, which was true. But,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dumb, but, when you're a teenage kid, no harm, though. No foul.
Yeah.
We didn't do any property damage. We returned everything. We got some laughs.
Yeah, not like the stuff I've seen happen since we've lived in town for 20 years. The spray painting on the side of the high school. Denver did that one year. Yep. I mean, there's been some serious vandalism go on. Yeah, my first interaction with Fairbank police, we were living at our old house or whatever, and the cop knocked on our door late one night or whatever, and he said, yeah, have you seen any kids running around out here? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So I'm standing in the yard with him, and he's sitting there talking to me, and then out of my neighbor's house, kids start barreling, and they're all going different directions. Like it was coordinated. I don't know what time of night it was, and this guy's big, tall, like Lurch, from the Adams. He wasn't catching any of those kids. They were gone.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's how they do it in this town. Yeah, not much different. Okay. Let's see. What's one thing you guys did this past summer that was cool? Last summer. It's kind of hard to think about it now. We're in the dead of winter.
Yeah, I know.
But you guys do anything fun?
We so the boys went to a wrestling camp down in Missouri, about an hour north of my sister's place, Kansas City. And so we took them down to that, and then afterwards we went down to my sister's and spent a few days down there, and we went to, I might say it's like the funnest thing of all time, but we had a really good time. What was it? I think it was called Chicken Pickle or something like that. But they had pickleball courts, they had shuffleboard, they had bean bags, they had all these outside games.
Nice.
And then of course food and restaurant, bar and stuff. And we just took the kids there and with my sister and my nieces and nephews, and it was a really good time. It was a lot of fun going out there. And,
cool.
Just kind of doing that stuff. So
good. All right. One thing you're looking forward to this winter, if anything. Some people don't have anything to look forward to.
All right, what is there to look forward to in the winter? No, what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the postseason, high school and AAU wrestling for the boys. I'm looking forward to that. Not just for my boys, but all the boys in the area.
It's exciting. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement. One of the things that I'm glad that we don't have to do it anymore. But if you ever want to see the best and the worst parents ever, is go to the Super Pee Wee tournament at Young Arena. It's the last tournament of youth. It's kindergarten. I think it's kindergarten and first grade one day and second grade the next day. And it's complete chaos, like 1,000 kids. And you will see the best, worst parents.
Okay, I got you.
You will see the worst of the
best
worst.
Example of the worst parents.
Oh my gosh, it's something else. But it's a lot exciting. It's a lot exciting though. Watching wrestling is just college wrestling isn't as exciting to me as high school and youth, especially when you start getting about 5th grade and older.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I've seen some of those bad examples. Some.
There's a lot of them out there.
I mean, I'm glad JJ got out when he did, because I can remember standing next to you at a mat when he was little, and your middle boy, Landon, and I think he got frustrated or something, and he tossed some kid, and you were next to me, and you just go, geez, Landon, and I didn't know, are you allowed to do that? Are you not supposed to do that? And apparently he had a temper, he would get frustrated, and he just tossed this kid, something violent, I guess, and I didn't know if you could do that or not. I don't know anything.
Yeah, just to kind of piggy on that real quick, kind of give a shout out to our high school coaching staff and all the parents of our high school wrestlers right now. Their sportsmanship is fantastic.
Okay.
They do a really good job. One of my biggest pet peeves of wrestlers is when they get done wrestling, they pull the straps down of their singlet right away.
Yep.
While they're choking to the core, they're walking around and they got no shirt on. Like you see college kids doing it today and stuff too. It drives me absolutely nuts. If you watch the Wapsie kids, especially in the varsity team, when they get done wrestling, those straps do not come down until they're putting a t-shirt on.
Okay.
And to me, that's just a sign of class.
That's how it's
when
done.
It comes to wrestling. That's how you're supposed to do it. You go out there, you go to work, win or lose, you come off the mat, and you act appropriately, win or lose. And those guys are doing it this year for sure.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I worked with a lot of Don Bosco guys at Omega for years, and they were always into wrestling, and I wasn't. But when it came tournament time at the end of the year, whatever, is that like February?
Yeah,
March, whatever.
Mid-February,
man,
state tournament.
Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about it, and I would get excited for it. It's just an exciting time. You're absolutely right. Okay. Number one problem we face today, in your opinion, what do you think, as a country, as a nation, as the worldwide, it doesn't matter. What's like one of the biggest problems you think we're facing?
One of the biggest problems I think that we're really facing right now is just the change of our culture. And it really started getting driven during the Obama administration, of really driving home nothing is about merit.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about what sex are you? What color are you? Do you have both parents in the home?
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, are they the same sex? Because that's even better, or if no, just, one parent. Well, that's pretty good too. Or it's no, I got mom and dad, well, that's bad.
Right.
And that's a big moral change for people of what kind of, not just moral values, but your moral character of how you go about life and treat others. And what's your goal? Like, I always wonder this. When people are raising kids, what is their outcome? What are they wanting for these kids to be? Like I said, I stopped raising kids when Jonah turned 10. I wasn't raising a 10-year-old. I was raising a man.
Sure.
Now, you're already a kid. I did that. Check.
Yep.
Wife and I, we did that. Check. Now we're starting to raise you to be a man.
Okay.
So when you get out in the world, what are you doing to improve the world?
Yeah.
Not just for yourself, but for everyone around you.
Yeah.
And everyone is just so selfish and worried about themselves. I want my kid to be the best. I want my kid to have anything, but you're not teaching them anything.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So now they're going out there and they're going to college for, some basket weaving.
I know what you mean.
Sexual, what? That does nothing for you in life.
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing for you in life.
And then what's at the end of it? And then they don't know what to do.
And then what? And then now they're all ticked off because they're $90,000 in debt and working at Starbucks.
Yep.
Which, you still make some, McDonald's and Starbucks making like $20 an hour now.
Yeah,
but
nowadays they want you to be able to do that for
right.
a living, and it's like that's supposed to be entry level work,
right?
Or college work,
right.
part-time work. Yeah, the whole DEI thing, though, kind of what you're getting at, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. It moves away from merit-based systems for anything, whether it's academic scholarships, right. whether it's employment, things like that. So yeah, I've been following that for a long time too, and I'm starting to see the tide turn. Just this last week when I'm off work, obviously I can consume more media and things. And I'm starting to get wind of, just by the sites I follow, that people are starting to let go of these DEI positions.
Yes,
and they're saying, no, we need, better pilots.
It's because they're seeing it fail.
They are.
They are failing.
They're seeing an air traffic control, for one. They're seeing just hundreds of % increase in near misses is what they call.
Right.
And it's because they've put people, there's nothing wrong. Like in football, it's the Rooney Rule. The owner of the Steelers, he said, we need to start interviewing just as many black coaches as we do, or at least one, or whatever the rule is, but it's meant to give them their foot in the door, because for years they weren't getting the same opportunities. So to a degree, I can agree with that. And look, it produced Mike Tomlin, it produced
right.
Tony Dungy. These guys got those jobs and they excelled. But to a degree, you still have to have it be about merit, or you're going to have the wrong people in these positions, the wrong people getting these scholarships, the wrong people, telling our planes where to go, just all that stuff. DEI, it will fail. Mm-hmm. It will. Yep. And we're starting to slowly see it now. So that's a good one. Number one problem we face. That's a good one. Okay, how about the number one thing we got going for us today? You got something kind of the exact opposite of that.
I think one of the things we got going is people are starting to they're starting to step out of their bubble. Okay. And they're looking at the bigger picture of the world and going, because I think it's getting bad enough.
Yeah.
Okay. It's finally starting to get bad enough. We're not there yet, but I think we're starting to get bad enough where people are starting to go, okay, All right. Like, I think you're going to see a great voter turnout this year or next year.
Yeah.
So people are like, this is important.
Yeah.
Before they were like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter if I vote or not. But now they're like, no, this is important.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Look at what's changed. And, do I want it to continue this way? Not just for myself, but maybe for my kids or my grandkids. Yeah. And so that's why I like what you mentioned, starting to see the change and the turn. And that's one of the things that I think society-wise, that's one of the benefits we have is all these people that are coming out and stuff too, like in education-wise, really encouraging the skill trades.
Yeah, going
out there.
Yep.
Well, heck yeah, like I told my nephew, he's working at UPS part-time, and he's got another part-time job somewhere else. I'm like, will you please go to Hawkeye and learn a trade?
Yeah.
UPS will give you $2,500 a semester to go do it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do it for your job or not, but you need to learn a trade.
Yep.
I don't care if that's construction, just knowing how to roof.
Yep.
To me, it doesn't matter. Go learn how to weld.
Yep.
You may not be a welder, but you know what? There's going to be a point in your life you're going to be doing something. You're like, man, I wish I knew how to weld.
Yep. There's going to be high demand trades.
Yeah.
They're not going away.
So, but I think we have a bigger group. I think there's a bigger group of people. The age group, I think, like your age through my age, because we're we're in our 40s,
mm-hmm.
and we've been around the block more times than 10.
Yeah,
and we've seen a lot of different things. We've seen a really good political system working really well.
Yeah,
and we've seen the degradation of it also.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to go, hey, we want to get back to where it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And really starting to lead that charge of how we're raising our kids and what we're saying in our communities, and being able to just kind of like what we're doing today. There's going to be some things that we're really going to agree on, and there's going to be some things we don't agree on.
Right.
But Bubba and I are still going to talk to at the end of the day.
Life goes on.
It's just what it is.
It's
always been that way.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yep, I agree, 100%. Yeah, I watched this guy misquote Reagan the other day, and not obviously I was a baby in Reagan's day or whatever, but looking at what he stood for and what things, I can obviously say, yeah, I support a lot of that stuff. This guy misquoted him the other day. He goes, I think it was Reagan that said, "I'm with the government. I'm here to help."
Yeah.
Reagan's actual quote was like the 7 most terrifying words you can ever hear is, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help."
Right.
No, exactly. In this country, I've told my kids, you can carve out whatever you want if you're willing to go work for it. You can do education if you want or not. Me and your mother did not. I wasted 3 years at community college. Didn't even get a diploma. How do you do that? How do you spend 3 years at a 2-year school and not graduate? You can have whatever life if you want lower middle class, this is it. This is it. You want more, Bridget, she's obviously her and her fiance, they're obviously doing higher education. You can have whatever you want. You just got to go work. Right. Don't plan on the government or anybody giving it to you.
You do it. You go do it.
That's right. Okay. Who do you like in the current presidential race? And reminder, guys, it's okay to disagree. It's fine. That's the way it's always been until recently.
No, I'm rooting for Trump.
Okay.
I've always been a Trump fan. And we'll get into this probably a little bit later here, but no, I like DeSantis also.
Yeah.
I think it's just not his time, unfortunately. When he announced he was going to run, I was like, son of a gun. Not yet.
Wait another 4.
It's not yet.
Yeah.
You're going to need to sit down and wait, because Trump's going to win, okay? And that's just going to be what it's going to be. But I do like him. I like Vivek too. I like that young enthusiasm. Yeah. I don't really care about age. It's just he's not a politician.
No, he's not.
And that's what I like.
Yep.
And I don't like Nikki Haley because she is a politician. And here's the one thing. If you're advertising that you're going to do something that can only be done by an act of Congress, why would anyone, we need term limits. Well, no kidding, but Congress is not going to put that in.
Yeah.
And they're not going to put in mental tests, whatever, for everybody. I agree. There's too many old people out there.
Yeah, the mental competency test. Yeah.
Yeah, but
we need that.
Again, that's going to be an act of Congress.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're
why?
not.
Why you can't run on that?
Yeah.
And anyone that goes, oh, she's going to get term limits. No, she's not.
That's up to us, the people we put in office.
She is not. There are term limits right now, like you just said.
Yeah.
It's if you don't want that person, like Chuck Grassley. I don't have anything against Chuck Grassley, but he's 92 or 93 years old. He's older than dirt, and he's been doing this for way too long.
Yeah.
Don't vote for him.
Yeah. Yep. That's the way it's done.
Just don't vote for him.
Yep.
That's term limits right there.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I agree with a lot of that. I enjoy watching everybody, listening to everybody. It's the time to learn who they are, watch them debate. And Vivek is definitely one. Man, I've watched a lot of his. He spent more time in Iowa than anybody.
Yep.
And the way he handles people who disagree with him. I've watched lesbian, gay, transgender people come to his meeting and try and disrupt. He will hand over the microphone and tell them to calm down, speak your piece, let me rebut. And I'm just like, that is where it's at. We're all in this together.
That's right.
Whether we agree or disagree, Christian, atheist, gay, straight, whatever. Let's have our differences of opinion, explain them, and then just be civil. You can do it. And he's done really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Oh, man, it seems like I was going to say something else about that, but I can't think of it. All right. Who's your favorite Robertson from Duck Dynasty, if you remember that? And I've been promoting their movie for a long time. Were you a big fan back in the day or no?
Was not.
No?
I don't know if I've even ever watched an episode.
Oh, dang.
I think I've watched parts of an episode, but I don't think I've ever watched a full episode.
Dude, it's... When TV is filled with reality shows that are all about the dysfunctional family,
Right.
Somebody in Hollywood had the bright idea to say, well, what's it look like when we put a down-home, functional family on TV? And that's what it was, except they were also into hunting. And Phil's got an amazing testimony of going from being a drunk to being...
Yep, I've heard his backstory.
So, yeah, you know all that. Yeah, and then the show is funny, encouraging, inspiring, uplifting, and then it's funny again. And it's just... super good show. All of it's on YouTube anymore. Check it out. If you guys haven't watched The Blind yet, I gave out 2 copies for Christmas this year. So maybe I'll do a giveaway on the podcast for The Blind. There is just no better example of the power of God to take a terrible situation or a terrible person and say, nah, you're not too far gone. Come to me. Jesus says, come to me. I'll take care of you. So, all right. Now this one, all the wives love this one. So this one I left in here specifically for Amy. Tell the world one thing you love or appreciate about your spouse.
Holy cow.
You can't limit it, can you?
No. Yeah, I mean, that woman, she does so much for our house. I mean, she lives in a house of men, okay?
That's tough.
We had a friend come over our house one time, and she's like, what's that smell? And I'm like, I know, it's the boys. And she's like, it smells like puberty in here. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably about right. And, and she takes that in stride. I mean, Amy handles it. She just, she's so sweet. She's so tough. She doesn't back down to any of us, that's for sure. Nice. And she has such a great heart. She loves everyone. And she just wants everyone to be happy. Whether she knows you a lot or not, she does. She truly just wants everyone to be happy. And that's her goal when she's at work, is to give joy and happiness to her residents and families as much as she can.
That's the people you want in long-term care. Yep. That's the people you want in assisted livings and things like that. Definitely. You want people who want to be there.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
She loves her residents. Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. All right. You said you grew up in church. Do you got a good memory, a best memory from church at all? Anything worth mentioning?
No.
Or was it drudgery?
It really kind of was. But no, it was one of the things, like Ryan Bellis and I, this is what we were. So, we're 11, 12 years old. We spend the night at each other's houses all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that one time his parents were out of town, and I was going to spend the night at his house, but we knew we had to go to church, and we didn't want to get up Sunday morning because we knew we were going to be up late. So we're like, let's go Saturday night. Okay. So we go to church Saturday night, 5:30 Mass here in Fairbank. And we left after communion, so we didn't stay for the final blessing.
Okay.
And so we missed probably we skipped out maybe 5 minutes of church.
Okay.
Well, someone saw us riding our bikes home before anyone else was out of church. Both of us are back in church the next morning with our parents because we got busted. Like, you didn't go to church because you didn't stay to the end. So, it's, but probably one of my favorite things, though, when I was a kid was that summer of, I don't want to say Bible school or whatever, but it was whatever the church held.
Yeah.
And for all we used to have, I don't know, 30, 40 kids.
Big turnout.
Easy.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun that week. For a couple of hours, we all got together and, we sang songs and did a little prayer stuff, a little more about the church and played outside. And it was just, I remember that. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was always a good time.
Yeah, I'm still involved with Vacation Bible School and stuff. It's good stuff for the kids. You make it fun, teach them about the Bible, make it fun at the same time.
Yep.
They should be into it. But yeah, they're just, the numbers aren't, there's so many more distractions today for them. So you really got to try hard. But yeah, I like the Bellises and them. Whenever I fill in preach from time to time, and they always like watching and listening. And I didn't grow up Catholic. I just go to Baptist church in Duncan. That's all I know is the Bible. That's it. I don't care what your sign says out front.
Right.
Let's talk about who Jesus is and talk about how you get to heaven and how you live life. And I don't care what your sign says.
Right.
And they always they always want to know when I'm preaching and stuff. So we can cross borders that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Easily.
Absolutely.
All right. Are you reading the Bible at all right now?
No.
No? Okay, so sometimes I ask guests, like, if you're there, what are you reading? Let's see. Have you ever had a moment where you knew God was kind of talking to you, speaking to you, nudging you, prompting you? To people who aren't believers, they think, oh, that sounds kind of weird. No, that's kind of how God, when you read the Bible or when, there's just different times in your life where you feel like God's leading you or something like that.
Well, I would say, so there was, back in 2010, Amy was very pregnant with Cooper, and I was working at Target Distribution at the time, and I after work one night, it was a Monday night, some of us got together, had a couple drinks, and I headed home, and in all honesty, I had like 2 beers, and that was it, over like 3-hour time frame. And I was driving home, and I couldn't stay awake for the life of me.
Yeah.
I absolutely couldn't. And I was fighting it. I stopped and walked out and hit the shoulder I don't know how many times. Well, I was just outside of town here, west of Fairbank, and coming around the curves. I remember going into that second curve, but I don't remember coming out of it. I had completely zonked out.
Really?
And when I came to, I was down in the ditch, and I was driving in the ditch. There's a street sign, and I turned to move around it, and I'm like, well, I'll just hit the gas and see if I can drive out. I hit the gas, and I hit a field drive. I was probably going 50, 55 miles an hour. Rolled my car several times on the other side of the ditch, ended up on my top, and I crawled out, walked down to the nearest acreage, and they gave me a ride home and stuff, because the guy goes, well, you've been drinking. I had like 2 beers a long time ago. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I felt like crap for 2 days after that. My wife says from the accident, and I think I got drugged.
Really?
I do. I still think of that to this day because it wasn't a hangover. And I've had plenty of hangovers in my day, and it was not a hangover.
Right. Okay.
But after that, for the next 3 months after that, there was probably at least 5 situations that I saw on the news or read in the paper, similar situations. Every one of those people were killed.
That kind of an accident?
I walked away.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a bruise. Nothing. And I walked away. And I had said that to my brother. I go, man, I read it. I go, look at this. He was like, I go, this is like the 5th one in 3 months. Because it's kind of like what you did. I'm like, I know.
You're super thankful.
But all these other people were killed.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get hurt. And he goes, evidently God's not done with you.
Yeah.
He's got something else for you. And so it wasn't so much, being guided, but it's more of opening up myself more to try to pay attention to a few more of the signs of going, what am I really here for? Because evidently I'm here for something or someone or something, and just take all opportunities as a possibility of that's what it is. Yeah. And there's been a couple of times where I've taken a step through the door and I went, nope, that's not it. Turn around, close the door. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
That wasn't it. And I don't know if I found it yet or not, but I'm just always trying to live the best way I possibly can live. So.
Yeah. dude, that's a good place to be right there. Knowing, if God, you got something for me to do, help me to see it.
Yep.
Most people don't want that. That's why they don't come to the Lord. They want to be in control of their own life, do their own thing.
Yeah.
At the end, when it's all over, they're going to wish, they had made the right choice.
Yeah. And this sounds, it sounds kind of weird, but it's not. I think that's why people of your past, whether they're living or dead, why they come to you in your dreams once in a while.
Yeah.
I think that's a higher power talking to you.
Okay.
Of saying, not necessarily what to do, but just going, hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, my family's dealt with some of that stuff with my dad and stuff. Yeah. And even, when my wife's mom was getting real sick towards the end, I mean, she was mentioning things, seeing, a baby she had miscarried and things like that. So, I mean, you don't forget things like that. There's a supernatural realm. We didn't just get here by chance. You have to believe that.
Absolutely.
So, good stuff. So do you want to, my next one is near-death experience or most do you want to chalk that one in there, or you got something else?
I actually got something else. I was a little closer to death than that. So the summer after my sophomore year of high school, my sister was stationed in Montgomery, Alabama, and her husband was getting ready to deploy to Iraq. And they asked me, they're like, hey, you want to come down and spend the summer? He was going to be gone for 6 months, and thought it would be a good idea if I was down there for at least 3 of those months.
Okay.
And so I got to actually cut out of school like the first week of May, took all my tests I needed to, and went down to Alabama, and they got me a job being a lifeguard. In Montgomery, there's 2 bases there, or one's called an annex, but there's 3 swimming pools.
Okay.
Between the 2 bases. And so I was like, yeah, sure. I had my lifeguard certification already. And so I went down there and got to do that. And greatest summer of my life as a teenager. It was one of the greatest things of my life. I had so much fun. I mean, I got jumped, I got my butt kicked one time, but I don't regret a single day of that summer. Wow. I mean, it was fun. Met a lot of different people, and but we were screwing around one day at the pool, us lifeguards, and we were on a break, and everyone was out of the pool.
Yep.
And we were kind of messing around, and I jumped in, dove in the deep end. I think it was like 12 feet or 10 feet. And I did what's called a sailor dive, when you put your arms behind your back.
Okay.
And you just jump in so your head breaks the water first.
Yep.
So I did that, and I was like, I'm going awfully deep. So I pulled my hands out in front of me. As soon as I did that, I smacked the bottom of the pool. I came up. Of course, there's blood everywhere. I fractured my nose, fractured a cheekbone.
Jeez.
I have you can hardly see it because the urgent care they took me to, the doctor there was a retired plastic surgeon. And so he gave me, I go, how many stitches am I getting? He goes, I'm not counting. He goes, you're getting so many. He goes, I'm not counting because they're so small and so tight together.
Yeah.
Had a concussion, cut my chin open, cut my wrists open and stuff like that. But
jeez.
Yeah, it was like I didn't die. I came up, I bent my neck just at the right time.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Dang.
But yeah, let's thank my lucky stars on that day, that's for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, that goes into the next one then. So past injuries and surgeries. We talked about the football stuff, and then now that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else on top of those?
Oh yeah, I got scars everywhere. One on my knee, my elbow from cutting my elbow when I was a kid. Most of my stuff happened when I was a kid. I got 3 or 4 scars under my chin. If I didn't have a beard, you'd see them. From smacking my chin, like usually wiping out on my bike.
Okay.
Smack my chin on the sidewalk. And I'd always come home and Mom's like, what? I'm like, I get stitches. She's like, yeah, you do. Let's go. Had carpal tunnel surgery on my right hand. What else? Oh, I blew a disc in my back a few years ago between L4 and L5. But the great thing about that is when they did my MRI, they're like, hey, you have 3 other bulge discs too throughout your back and it's full of stenosis. I'm like, thanks, doc. That's just what I wanted to hear. But the nice thing is it's kind of forced me to try to make sure I try to keep the front of the belly weight off me. And, I do things differently now, especially with my job. save that back because I don't wish that upon anyone.
No.
Having a blown disc and sitting right on your sciatic nerve, not fun.
No, that stuff's no good. No. That is no good. All right, that's a long list there. All right, we're winding down. If you could play an instrument, we're going to get cultured now. If you could play an instrument, what would it be? Or can you?
I can still a little bit, but not well. I'd like to be able to play it better. It would be the piano.
Nice.
When I was a kid, all of us took piano lessons. Mom, Dad said that's what you have to do.
Sure.
So that's what I did. Of course, my piano teacher was beyond old back then, and I don't know. I already did for like a year or two, and then she passed away and just never got back into it again. But I can still play a little bit. Very simple,
sure.
menial. My wife plays piano pretty well. We got an old baby upright grand that she'll play once in a while, so she's just pretty good. But I wish I could play it better. Yeah. I do definitely wish that.
I'm in the same boat. Bridget teaches me stuff with one hand, and if I can get a few lines, that is like a success. Piano's awesome, definitely. Yeah. All right, hidden talent, or if you don't have a hidden talent, something most people don't know about you.
One thing people don't know about me is I can type about 85 words a minute.
What? Dude, that's lightning fast.
Yeah. We had an Apple IIe computer when I was a kid growing up, and one of the games on there was that you had to shoot these spaceships. Well, in order to shoot the spaceship, it had a letter that you had to type.
Okay.
And then as you advance, then it was words.
Okay.
I played that game all the time.
Okay.
So then when I got to junior high and took a typing class, I just sailed through it. Then I got to high school, my senior year, I just needed a class to take. I took typing. And Christy Reagan was just like, "Why are you in my class?" I'm like, I need an A, but it came, last time I got tested for speed was when it was quite a few years ago. It was at GMAC Mortgage.
Okay.
And I tested out at 85 words a minute.
Dang.
I could probably do about 50 or 60 today, but yeah, with these fat finger stubs, I can, but man. I think the reason Mom and Dad has to do piano and stuff like that was his whole hand-eye coordination and stuff.
Well, yeah,
but, no, it's that's one thing. My mom's a really good typist too, but that's one thing a lot of people don't, especially when they look at me, they're like, "You can type?" I'm like, "I can type pretty good too."
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if you took it in high school, you should have been able to get around, 25, 30, 35.
Right.
You were good. You could go faster.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, just doing stuff for this show, I get to type and, all that stuff. Yeah, I could probably still do 40, 45. Well, but it's going to have a lot of mistakes in it. I got to keep going back. Yeah. So it's better just go slow.
Thank goodness for autocorrect, right? Yeah. Well, I think my dad told me his mom, my grandmother, she was a really good typist. And I thought he said she typed around like 30 words a minute, but that was the old manual typewriter.
That's a different game.
And so to me, one of those, if you could type 10 words a minute, you'd do it.
Yeah, because that takes pressure.
Well, that thing had to jam up all the time instead of typing that fast. But
yeah, that's different stuff there. All right, we'll end with a more serious one. If you could delete one thing from the world, what would it be? There's something you could say, I'm taking this, and it's never to be seen, never to be dealt with, never to be experienced.
I'm going to say cancer.
Good one.
I think that
good one.
There's, not just from my experience, but there's so many other people I know that have had experiences that are alive, sure, but once you've had cancer and even survived it, you're different. Yeah. Not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Sure, my wife and I, we've been married almost 25 years, and we're definitely different people now than we were when we got married. But she's even more because of what she had to go through and just what that treatment does to your body physically. It changes you, which forces you to change mentally and which forces you to change emotionally. And you're a different person. Yeah. And, and that's a battle. And, but, and then the people, obviously, that go through the fight and don't survive. And, that changes the people around them. Yeah. And most of the time, it's not in a positive way. And it may not be drastic, but they're not the same people either. Yeah. So that's one thing. If we could get rid of that, which I think we probably can, but if I had the choice,
it'd be gone.
It would be gone. there'd be no more cancer.
Yeah, that's a good one. We've had some good answers for that. I don't think anyone said that one yet. That's really good. Yeah, a lot of people just wonder, oh man, if God could why didn't he just fix this or fix that or do the other thing? And sometimes I just remind people, I'm like, dude, if God stepped in and, we live in a fallen world because of sin. If God stepped in and fixed everything, what would we have to look forward? That would be heaven. This is not supposed to be heaven. We're supposed to deal with the effects of sin and sickness and disease and all those things. And we're not dealing with that in the next life.
Right.
Like if your faith is in Jesus, you only deal, this is as close to hell as you get. You know what I'm saying? But for anyone listening out there, if you haven't put your faith in Jesus yet, if you don't believe any of the stuff I've been talking about on this podcast, well, then this is as close to heaven as you're going to get. So I want you to think about that. And if you want to know more, you can definitely call me, email me, reach out. I will share the gospel with you. I will show you in the Bible what it takes to know you're going to heaven, because you can know tonight that if this is your last night, that you're going to be with the Lord in heaven. It's that easy. You can't earn it. It's a gift. You just have to accept it. If we could work our way into heaven, what did Jesus come here for? Why did he go to that cross? So you can't earn it. We read that in the Bible. It's a gift. So. Well, we're at like an hour and 25 minutes for part 2 with Chad. So that's the bad news. So this was a long one, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. So the good news is his next episode is going to be the What Is Up segment. And I'll just tease it for you. We got some good stuff in there. We got some lighthearted stuff, like people tinting their windshields. What is up with that? But then we got some more serious stuff, like election type stuff and abortion type stuff, and why Chad thinks we need Trump back as president. And then for you locals, we are going to get into the direction of the Wapsie Valley School, the leadership, the school board, and even the wrestling program. We're going to dive into all that on Chad's part 3, his final episode. But I got to go to the bathroom. I got to take a leak. I mean, we mentioned that. We're in our 40s. We can't sit here for hours and talk. So, man, if you liked any of this stuff, if you thought Chad's segments were funny, lighthearted, if they encourage you in any way, share it. Like I always say, share it with somebody. Check out our Facebook. Check out our Instagram, because that's all I'm trying to do with this is encourage people. So come back and make sure and check out part 3 with Chad Frost, where we really get into what is up.